Hello and welcome. I can't see anybody. Can you hear? Hello and welcome. I hope that you are doing fine today, and with little bit of apprehension, I hope that you have been enjoying the course. So, welcome to this live chat. This is my first live, so I may not have a lot of understanding as to how it goes. This is not interactive, as I understand that you will be sending me text messages. So, I did receive some questions from some of you, though they are very generic, and I was actually hoping that there will be specific questions. Someone asked about how to start a startup in particular, and that is a big topic, but I will just start elaborating as long as there is no specific question from you. So, if you want to start a startup, the first thing that you need to understand is that you have to identify a pain, where to start, means what kind of business to start. There are many dimensions to it. One is the pain, second is our last topic, that is circle of competence. So, we cannot really identify any pain and every pain and then start finding a solution. So, circle of competence is one, then pain is another one. We try to identify a pain, solution to which is related to our domain. So, that kind of gives us a narrow domain, kind of converts the domain where we should look for. Once we identify pain, then we have to empathize. We are yet to go through the design thinking process, but empathizing is very important. We have covered that several times. We need to empathize with the customer, we need to empathize with all our stakeholders, with our employees, and then particularly our customers, potential customers, so as to know define their pain in an elaborate manner, in a complete manner. Only defining the pain will help us to understand the pain and then start ideating about a solution. So, once we start ideating, then we have to come up with many ideas. We have already discussed about TRIZ, TRIZ, which will be broadcast very soon, but we need to come up with many ideas, and then means whatever ideas that comes to our mind, remember that no idea is a bad idea. Every idea is important at the beginning, and then gradually we will see whichever idea is tenable and whichever idea can take us close to a product market fit. And then we need to converse to one or two or three ideas, then start prototyping. With prototype, we go to our customer, or maybe at the very beginning only we talk to the customer about what features they value the most. The philosophy of lean and agile systems. Agile says that customers should be on board at the very beginning, meaning at the time when we start deciding about the pain point. So, unless we really identify customer, we won't understand the pain of the customer. So, we identify some customers and then we understand their pain, and then with the help of customer we decide or ideate, then prototype, then take it to customer, validate, and then based on the learning that we gain, we again redefine our hypothesis or redefine the features the product going to have, and then take it back to the customer as a regular basis. So, this is a build, measure, learn cycle, through which maybe many cycles, through which we get to develop a product which the customers are definitely going to like, because customers are always on board and they are actually telling us whether we should move ahead or not, and with what features should we move ahead. That is one part. That is just a product development part of starting a startup. We will have a separate session how to start a startup. nevertheless, because the question is there, let me just walk you through a little bit more about it. The moment you decide that we really want to start a startup, we don't really register a company. Registration of a company is costly, and we are not sure whether our first idea is going to sustain, and how much time it is going to take to really come up with something that can help us to go to market. Suppose we fail several times, or we intentionally fail in the sense that we are not happy that the product that we have been pursuing are not going to take us anywhere. So, we pivot, and then we never know whether it is going to be 1 year or 2 years. So, if you register a company, it is going to set you back by maybe 35,000 rupees in the beginning, and every year it is going to cost you money, and then you do not want to spend so much money. Money is very precious, even though 35,000 rupees is peanuts compared to millions of dollars that people are raising, but at the beginning, when you are yet to raise any money, every paisa is important. So, you should not waste money something that is not so very critical, central to your core business progression. So, do not register a company unless you are sure that it is absolutely necessary. When it is necessary to register a company? When you are approaching for maybe incubation, or say acceleration, or say you are approaching to some investor, they will insist that you must have a formal company. Particularly, they will insist that you have a private limited company, because a private limited company is a going concern. It has life till perpetuity, and most importantly, the investors who are going to be almost like co-founders, they have a stake in the company. So, they are shareholders. They want immunity from their assets being charged. If it is a partnership or a proprietorship partnership company, they become part of the partners, and then if there is a decree from the court by any lender, their personal assets will be charged. So, for all these reasons, they prefer that it has to be a limited liability company. So, you do not start a private limited company just the day you decide that, okay, let me start a company. You do all those formalities once your product is almost finalized. Otherwise, the first thing that you can do without spending a lot of money is that you can start something like a partnership. If say 2 of you, 3 of you, or multiple persons think of starting a company, then you should have a formal setup. So, you can have a partnership firm and have a trade license. That is it, because the first place you may not have a lot of revenue. So, what is the point of doing all those registration? If you have a trade license, it is good to do some transactions. You can procure asset like say computer, like you can rent a premises, and whatever cost is there, you can gradually kind of start building the books of accounts, etc. So, next week perhaps you will learn about, next week you will learn about financial statements, and I am going to cover quite extensively. If you follow that with great attention, I am almost sure that you will have a good handle on financial statements, meaning that if you start a company, you will have a fair idea how profit is determined, how profit is estimated, what is balance sheet, and all that. Okay, that is a different topic. So, once you are through with the product development process, you want to go to market. So, you want to approach to somebody, say if you are a student. Nowadays, majority of the engineering colleges are having some kind of incubation setup. Government of India is giving money, a lot of money for establishing incubation cells. Now, suppose your college does not have, suppose you are from an engineering college and your college does not have a formal incubation setup, you can actually go and demand, because Ministry of Human Resources Development are insisting. They are sitting with money and they are asking every engineering college to approach to them, and then they are going to give money. There are some conditionalities which are very easy to fulfill, particularly the ones that where you have some responsibilities, that there should be some proposals, startup proposals, based on which they will have a minimum kind of a seeding of the center. It cannot be that there is some kind of a premises and some money given to them, and there is nobody who can exploit those infrastructure. So, there should be some startup applications. They will evaluate those startup applications, and then they will send money if they are happy that these ideas can move forward, and there is potential that they will emerge as commercial enterprise. So, some of you have to come up with ideas. Earlier they insisted that there should be tangible product, so that it looks like these products are potential for market, but now they are diluting those conditionalities, and they are trying to only insist that let us have some new ideas, and if the ideas are promising, we are going to fund. We are going to fund the incubation, we are going to fund the incubated companies, meaning that your ideas also will be funded. They are going to give you money for prototyping, for filing patent, for hiring a rented accommodation, hiring early employees and all that. So, suppose you have some idea, then immediately you should approach to MHRD. If you need, I will send the link as to where to approach, even bypassing your college, and then eventually they will guide you how to approach to your college and guide your college authorities, so that they can help you by registering their college with MHRD. It is mygov.in, and there are some other links. I will try to send you later. They have web seminars many a times. I attended the last one, and I got to know that the things are really happening, positive things are happening. Just a minute, I will just let me read one of the questions that have come. Shaicharan Pogul, if I am pronouncing it rightly, please excuse me if I am wrong. Okay, I will read that later. Let me complete this topic first. So, you are through with an idea, and you need some money to start forming a formal firm or a company. So, now you approach to MHRD or your college incubation cell. They start mentoring you. See, a college does not require to have a very matured mentor. Anybody can be a mentor. What is important is you need to bounce your idea on a sounding board, meaning that there should be somebody whom you can tell your story to. It is not necessary that somebody has to be an engineer, that somebody must have startup experience. It is not necessary at all, because why it is not necessary is like this. Even when you pitch before somebody, there are lot of revelation by yourself. You get to know, when you talk about your competitive advantage to somebody, you realize that you are not telling the right thing, or there are loose ends. So, gradually you get to know your own loose ends, your story gets matured. So, it is highly necessary that you keep talking about your startup to people, and then they might reflect negatively, positively. You must not bother about what they reflect. You should have the expertise or the intelligence to really understand whether they are telling right thing, wrong thing, or whatever they say holds water or not. You should not discard whatever people say. Somebody says negative, do not discard, but come up with an argument against that and then do back and forth argument, and then get yourself matured. In the process, you will get to know whether somebody is saying no, whether that holds water. When Jack Ma pitched his idea of a e-commerce company, most of the people said you must be crazy, but still he thought whatever people are saying, that is not right. People said that you have no idea about internet, that is why you should not start a company on the internet. Jack Ma said that is not necessary. I need not know internet, I need to know how am I going to give convenience to people, how people can sit in their drawing room and order goods. They do not have to come all the way to a brick mortar store and then do all those hard work. So, he thought people have a point, but I also have a point. So, he kind of countered what people said, and eventually he could he became so successful. Means I do not have the qualification or the capability to really either appreciate him or criticize him, because it is a proven case and he is one of the richest man under the sun. So, now you have an idea, you approach to whomsoever, and then gradually you definitely form a team. One single person company is found to be very difficult. You must have read that entrepreneurial journey is a very lonely journey, and if you do not have somebody to share your excitement, share your frustration, everything both and success, it becomes very, very boring. Even there should be somebody to share the excitement, otherwise it will be all negatives. So, you must have a team with whom you can share everything, and they can hold your hand at times of downturn, and you also can hold their hand. So, it should be a joint effort. At the same time, you should not partner with people whom you do not know, people who do not bring any complementary skill to the venture. Just your buddy whom you know from your childhood may not be a good partner. If you make that kind of a person your partner, you and him both are going to be frustrated very soon. You will think that he is a liability, he will think what nonsense I am doing, I do not enjoy doing it. So, it is not going to, you will rather kill your friendship with that person. So, once you decide once you have the team, then you hire some space, you get trade license, and then you are ready to pitch your idea before either an incubator or an accelerator. In the meantime, definitely you must have got your idea validated, your product or service validated by real customer. So, remain connected with them. I recommend that you should all see Shark Tank videos. There are in the YouTube also, there are many videos, and there are these are shown in some TV channels as well. You should see those some sessions of the Shark Tank to get a first hand idea as to how pitching is done, how investors assess a particular idea, means where they ascertain values, etc. You will get a fair idea how to pitch. So, then it should be a kind of a regular journey, and remember, whatever success stories you see, they had this preliminary idea at the beginning when nothing was so promising. Now, there are many pitfalls when you really think that I have an idea and you start building this process. We'll share some, I'll share some stories about mentoring and how students make mistake. Just very recently, within maybe last week, one student came to me. He actually contacted me from US. He was doing some kind of internship. The fact is that he was building some technology in collaboration with an American professor, and they want to start a startup. Listen to this story, will enjoy all the kinds of interaction that I had with this guy, this person. Now, they primarily have developed some expertise in blockchain technology. If you are not familiar with blockchain, let me just tell you one thing, or just introduction. Blockchain actually is a kind of a series of computers, they call it ledgers, and it is multi-stage validation of a transaction. Suppose you are initiating a transaction, it will go through multiple servers. Every server has to validate, only then the transaction will go through. I am not a computer guy, but then that is the layman's understanding. And now, even in spite of all those security and all those validations, people are hacking through blockchain as well. Now, this guy has developed a new algorithm through which many of the hacking possibilities can be eliminated, and they have this technology. Now, they want to start something like a cloud storage system. They want to kind of co-share with many other people. I am not really giving you the succinct business model, because it's their own kind of IP, and then based on this they are going to start a business. So, I will not go into that details, but now they say that they are starting a cryptocurrency as well. Why that? Because they want this transactions that will happen across these different platforms, and different people who are becoming their client, they are going to remain or sit across many countries, maybe 150 countries. So, they have a currency issue. So, they want to have a cryptocurrency, so that there is a common currency. Now, look, when this guy started telling me, explaining his own business plan, business model, I was kind of at a loss. I was not understanding what is this, why he is trying to connect cryptocurrency with a blockchain chain technology. He is basically an aggregator. Why all this? Now, I told him something, that is, I told him that in 1 minute, can you pitch your idea, so that I have a holistic view about your business, because you have already taken 15 minutes and I have no idea what your business is. Now, I will explain what is a elevator pitch in a different session, but for the time being, just know that suppose you want to talk to Ratan Tata to pitch your idea. Now, Mr. Tata may not have a lot of time to listen to thousands of ideas, because thousands of people approach him. Getting an opportunity to pitch before him is a difficult task. Now, what you can do is, what people normally do is, they observe where Ratan Tata will be going, when he will be going, when he is having a cup of tea and he is having some free time. And majority of the people find that when he is approaching to the elevator and reaching to the maybe 10th floor of his building, perhaps in the elevator there is nobody to disturb, or there is no distraction. So, perhaps that is the only time when I can talk to him, and that is how the term came. So, you enter into the elevator with him and you start talking. So, this is the time when he is absolutely undistracted. So, you get an opportunity to talk to him, but then within a minute's time, or maybe within half a minute time, you have to be able to tell sufficiently enough and sufficient enough material, so as to entice him into your story. You say something and Tata say, wow, this is something that is wonderful. Then what he is going to say is, when he will come out of the lift, he will say, why don't you talk to my secretary and fix up an appointment. So, this time, that is entering into the elevator, and by the time he says, wow, this is called, whatever you said is called elevator pitch. It has to be a holistic presentation without the aid of a PowerPoint deck or anything. You are actually talking to him. Now, he gets you have to be very clear as to how to pitch an idea in a minute. Otherwise, you are going to spend a minute saying that, sir, I am so and so, I come from so and so place, and my dad does this, that, what, these are all nonsense. You have to come to the point, so that some word of your whole discussion rings a bell in the ears of Ratan Tata. So, he say, okay, blockchain, I think that is interesting. So, what are you doing in blockchain? Okay, then you say that, sir, we have developed this technology which is superior compared to any technology available as of now. So, he will say, wow, that is good, this is an emerging technology and you have something superior, why don't you talk to my secretary and fix up an appointment. So, you get an opportunity to talk to Mr. Tata maybe for another 5 minutes, then if he is interested, he will say, go on. So, you pitch for 1 hour and game is won. I told this guy, pitch an elevator pitch before me. So, he said, give me couple of minutes, I have to conjure up my story. So, he took 2 minutes, conjured up the story, and then he told so many things about the business. I could get a holistic view as to what he is doing. There are many use cases in that. I said, cryptocurrency per se is a huge business. Even Mukesh Ambani will think many times before starting a business in cryptocurrency. It is so involving, it is so risky, because you need so many licenses, and even even if Reserve Bank wants to start a cryptocurrency, they will require maybe couple of years to really become smart enough to start that. So, just forget about cryptocurrency for the time being. So, we focus on a core area which is very, very small, and I defined his core business, and I told him that within maybe another month you just come back and then tell me what value you are going to going to provide to your customer in this small narrow domain, and then we will discuss. Look, this guy is a student, he is my student, he took my subject in the previous semester. He worked with a professor in US and he worked for 6 months. When I said, what is your value proposition? He said, you know, this is a technology that we developed for last 5 years. I said, even if you developed something for last 100 years, who cares? It has to have value, and you should be able to define the value, not the R&D of 10 years or 100 years or 5 years. That is no value. So, we have all those misconceptions. We think that my connection with an American university is going to help me to win a business. That is not the case. You must offer value proposition. So, he is going to come back with his statement about a value proposition. We all miss all this point. Another batch of students came, they said they want to sell old books. They said old books we want to sell at 50% of the price, and then we want to recirculate, etc., a lot of a story. Then I said, how are you going to send it or reach the books to the customers and bring it back? Have you thought about the logistics? Each book is going to cost you 25 rupees to send to a guy, 25 rupees to bring it back. So, 50 rupees is the cost for to and fro communication. How much you are going to charge? And many of the books cost something like 200 rupees, the new books cost 200 rupees. So, where lies your revenue? How are you going to make profit? We tend to ignore many points which are to be remembered. Let me now focus on the questions, otherwise I will complete my time without really answering. Now, Sai Charan tells me that how to deal with the situation when we are trying to solve the pain point and we are in the process of solving it, and suddenly we find out that someone else or say some tech giant is also on that pain. It is a wonderful question and a very relevant question in that. See, if you Google, you will find a company by the name Incubation. They are IIT, a company promoted by IIT students. They wanted to build something called gesture based control mechanism. Like you can operate a TV, you can operate your AC using a gesture. You just gesture with your hand like that, and a switch is on or off, it happens, and that was happening about 4 years back when these students were my students. And then we also thought that this is a wonderful idea and it is going to catch the fancy of people, because now people do not want to move or there is many a times we do not have access to the remote, because remote many a times we just forget about it where we have kept. So, it is a good thing that if we have some gadget in our finger and we just do a gesture and we can control either the volume of the TV or change the channel, should be good. Then they started, they took withdrawal from IIT and started building it sitting in Bangalore. Before they could go to the market, they realized that Samsung has already built that. So, this situation is not new and not hypothetical, it is real situation. Now, what they did, I think there lies the solution. They did not discard this whole idea, but then they noticed where all Samsung is actually applying this technology. They found that Samsung has been applying this in some kind of a domestic situation, like controlling gadgets, even though it is not catching the fancy of the people, but then there are competitors, big competitors. So, they actually diverted their attention to some industrial application rather than in a domestic application. Eventually, they could actually make money, and now they are very successful. Of course, it is not purely gesture based control, but they are using the same technology in an industrial settings. So, if they did not have this, they would have almost no alternative but to pivot and then start all over again. So, either you pivot, meaning that you stop it there and then you start with another one, but the best way should be you should think of something where you can use the knowledge that you have built. It is almost always possible that the knowledge that you have created can be applied and get a leverage, can be leveraged to really start another kind of technology which is almost like similar, but in a different domain or in the same domain, or you can perhaps continue, means it is not always necessary that a tech giant will always pursue this. Like I do not see Samsung is really pursuing this technology. You might have seen that Google started many initiatives that they did not pursue, because they have a market size in perspective, meaning that if market is not $1 billion big, perhaps it does not suit Google or Samsung, because they have huge overhead cost, and they have a global presence. They do not want to do something at a small location, or they do not want to target a revenue something like 100, 200, 500 million dollar. They want to target $1 billion marketplace. So, you have to really take stock of the situation holistically, and then decide means it will pretty much depend on the situation at hand, meaning it's kind of a dynamic situation. So, depending on other parameters, not just a tech giant has already entered into the domain and you think that it is almost the same pain that they are solving. Many times even startup may have competitive advantage that tech giant may not have, because your overhead expenses is less, because your early employees may be so much passionate about developing a technology. Perhaps you will have a better competitive advantage compared to companies who are well funded, and then either there will be a point when they will try to take you over along with the technologies that you have developed, or you remain competing with them and then gradually diversify. Perhaps it is not the ideal solution, but I would say that the best solution is to explore where you can apply the technologies that you have already developed. So, like this story that I might have told you is one is Anki Robotics and Artificial Intelligence. It is an American company. They raised $200 million. They were building robotic toys, and they were expert in artificial intelligence. They had to close down the business because they ran out of money last year, I think sometime in September 2019. Now, if you read the whole story, then you will realize that the running out of money is not the main reason. You run out of money for many reasons. One is you spend unnecessarily. That may be one of the reasons. That is one of the reasons with many companies, because first generation entrepreneurs did not see millions of dollars in their account. The moment they see this amount of money in their account, they think that money will last forever. There is no end to money. So, they stop being thrifty. They think that we should splash money here and there. They will throw parties, etc. Forget about parties. There is always scope to cut corners. They will not do. They will waste a lot of money. So, the same thing happened with Anki. They splashed money. Now, when they said to their employees that we are shutting shop, most of the employees in blogs, they said that these guys burnt money left and right. If they were thrifty enough, they would have run for another 2 years with the same money, $200 million, about 1,500 crore rupees, and their annual turnover was 100 million rupees. But they failed, because they failed in spite of the fact that they were ahead of technologies. Their technology was so superb, but then there was a time when they did not have the money to proceed further. At the same time, Chinese companies flooded the market with new robots. So, they had an opportunity to really migrate from robotic toys to real robots, which of course, they say that they wanted to do. They wanted to build real robots for industrial application, for like say for railways, airline, for logistic management in industries, or maybe in say real estates, where robots can do a lot of things like securities, etc., where they had the strengths, but then they could not progress on that because they ran out of money. If they had money, perhaps they would have pivoted in a related domain, not something else, meaning they were in robot and they were in in artificial intelligence. Robot requires machine learning and artificial intelligence. So, they had the right prescription. Incidentally, they have their artificial intelligence component has been taken over by some big companies only recently, I think this month itself in February 2020, because this knowledge was cutting edge and very few in the world had this knowledge. So, even if you think that other people are competing in the same domain, it is not always necessary that you can write off all the knowledge that you have. Offhand, I think I will close that this thread for the time being. I will move on to the next one. So, Shunil is saying, can MHRD support 1 year postgraduate diploma in entrepreneurship management at good engineering colleges? Well, I put forward this question to MHRD and AICTE during our last IIC meeting, but they said we are working on that. I said if somebody wants to pursue entrepreneurship while he is studying either MTech or BTech, if he has an idea, then they should be given some kind of fellowship for personal maintenance, some accommodation or some office address where he or she can register a company. So, they said that is a good idea and we are working on that. Now, as of now they will not support your ideas as long as you are a student, unless your idea is slightly at a mature state. The support will come from MHRD through incubation cell of your college, not directly. Otherwise, also there are money. Let me tell you this, you can visit www.dsir.gov.in. It is called Department of Scientific and Industrial Research. They have this scheme called PRISM. They give 2 lakh rupees to anybody, including a student, 2 lakh rupees for prototyping your ideas, for filing a patent, and this 2 lakh rupees is given without any string attached. You will be given this money, they will not ask you to return it back. You will use this money for prototyping and other things, meeting other expenses. Students are eligible. If your idea is prototyped and customer says that, or DSIR thinks that this prototype kind of holds promise and that further development can be built on this and it is actually progressing to the right direction, the next phase is of 25 lakhs. So, you just form a company maybe and then you can apply to DSIR, they will give you 25 lakh rupees, 25 lakhs or 20 lakhs, I think it is 25 lakhs, and then you get this money. This is also a grant in aid. They will not ask you to return the money, only thing is that they will ask you to bring some money from some other source. Third phase is of 50 lakh rupees. They will give 50 lakh rupees of grant to you to take this prototype to the market, and it is real money, there is no string attached and they are actually giving money. So, you have to approach to them through a local outreach center. You will get all the lists are there in the DSIR website. So, you can visit their website and see where is the nearest outreach center, talk to them. Only catch is that it has to be a new idea. You cannot actually get something from somewhere and copy paste or something, or you have some kind of a me too company idea. Me too is not going to work in this domain. Me too means somebody else is doing somewhere and I am also doing here. This idea may not work. What will work is it has to be an original idea, and preferably if it is prototype, then it is to be patentable, meaning that there are novelty and it is should be non-obvious. Novelty is the most important thing. If there are novelty, then it will be patentable. It has industrial application. So, that non-obviousness, novelty, industrial application, this will make it eligible for filing a patent, and then you can actually get this 2 lakh rupees, then this 25 lakh. I am kind of getting little uncertain about this 25 lakh, but a substantial amount of money, and then 50 lakh I am very sure about. So, visit dsir.gov.in and then if you have an original idea, you can actually send it. Incidentally, just not many people are registered, but know that I am a kind of a prolific innovator. I have developed many technologies, I have many patents. I have stopped filing patents because technologies are not being adopted by industries. I cannot adopt it myself. Some of my technologies are in the industry already in use, and many students approach to me with their ideas, and I try to kind of reflect, and so far it has been quite successful. So, if any of you have some idea you would like to pitch, and I can guarantee immunity that I am not going to copy that. You can sign an agreement, you can send me an agreement, I can sign on a non-judicial stamp paper, and then we can move forward. All these are possible, but MHRD is you can approach to MHRD through your college incubation cell. Your college must set up an incubation cell. MHRD is insisting they cannot make it a rule, because that is not what they will do. So, they want that there should be some ideas coming forward from students, and the college should send those ideas to MHRD. Then MHRD will send the money to college, not to the college. Remember this, MHRD will send this money to the account of the incubation cell. They will ask that there should be a separate account. So, this money will not be touched by the college, even if it is a private college. Get this point clear. So, this money will be used to create infrastructure, number one. Number two, to support early ideas, to help them to prototype, and you will get some kind of mentor from the college. I am always there. If somebody wants mentorship from anybody, he or she can pitch before me, and then we will move forward. There is another one. Okay, we can pitch an idea in India other than incubation cells for getting investment. Yeah, okay. There is a question from Mohit Chowdhury, says that where can we pitch our idea in India other than incubation cells? There are okay, for pitching the idea before there are high net worth individuals, you have to get this list from various blogs, and there should be databases where people are registered, means who are passionate about funding new enterprises. I can give you one name, of course, without his knowledge I should not say this. Anish Reddy from our college, from IIT Kharagpur, he started Capillary Tech, which is more than $1,000 company now in Bangalore. They have operation in more than 10 countries. Anish Reddy, you can Google search. He keeps investing. He invests a small token sum, but then investing and promoting a startup is his objective, not really making money. There are many people like him whose primary objective is to see that young people get funded, so that their idea, many of their ideas are actually precious ideas, and because of lack of funding, these ideas are falling on the wayside, and then somebody else are picking up the threads, and they are actually making some products which originally were propounded by these kind of people. So, there are many people. If you can identify some of them, you can send them a elevator pitch, say one slide with a maybe business model canvas. Business model canvas per se is not a complete thing, as I said during different sessions. It just is a capsule form of many information, many nuggets of features, but then competitive advantage is not there. Your value proposition should be done in such a manner that just by reading the value proposition itself, somebody should find it interesting, even if it is not so promising that it is going to make a lot of money, but if it is going to do a lot of good to the society also, some people are interested. So, you have to, it is possible to find. I do not have a link where you find it, but there is ample opportunity to find this kind of people. I will say another thing, that is now there are many infrastructure or say portal where you can crowdsource or crowd fund your idea. Suppose it's a wonderful idea, and nobody wants to listen to that, say because perhaps you have social objective and commercial objective combined together, and maybe some commercial people are not interested. Then you can approach to some of the crowdfunding portals where they will upload your idea, and people across the country or across the world will start donating money. It is a formal system. I will cover that when I talk about funding new ventures. For the time being, just know that crowdfunding is a formal system, wherein you can pitch your idea with all the novelty and all the value proposition, and people will give you money without any string attached. You do not have to give shares. There is no possibility that you will be promising them that I will give you share if you give us money. No, that is going to be illegal, because in India, if you approach to anybody for money without going through SEBI, that becomes a fraud, a financial fraud or something. So, you cannot really promise anything, but you can accept donation with a cause. So, people will give you money. Another thing is that you should approach to friends and relatives, have some money, and then once you have some money and you add some value, tangible value to your idea, then you can approach either to formal investors like say angels. There is something called angel network. In India, majority of the angels are registered there. So, you can actually pitch your idea once in a while. You can just as a going process, they allow you to pitch your ideas there. So, you can just upload a maybe a PowerPoint deck with salient features, and then they might call you in some occasions, during some occasions when they are actually inviting lot of investors, and you can pitch depending on shortlisting criteria, like this 1000 startup or 10,000 startup by Department of Information Technology, DIT, in collaboration with FICCI, and then in collaboration with I just forgot it now. So, Angel Network is a party to that. I think it is still on. They want to set up, I think it was what was the name? Is another name, not really FICCI or DIT. There is another name for promoting IT. They initiated this, but Angel Network is a part of it. So, any idea can be actually uploaded there. If the idea is potential, they will invite you, because their target is 10,000 startup. They want to start 10,000 startup, fund and see that they are successful, and the target is yet to be achieved. So, you can always pitch there whatever money you need. That is another place where you can approach. You remain connected with me. You can send a mail. I'll means offline I can think more and then contribute. Let me just move forward. M. Gupta says, I filed patent for an idea and developed initial prototype. Can I get grant for further development? Okay. First thing is that you have not filed a patent on idea. Idea cannot be patented. So, when you actually filed a patent, you have actually built a prototype. Without a prototype, normally a patent will not be granted. They want to see that there is a tangible framework, or you have translated your idea in a tangible form. Of course, without a prototype, if you show the design, that this is the design of the machine that I am proposing, based on the design you can get a patent. Now, your question is whether now you can approach to DSIR for this 2 lakh scheme. You can approach to them, either 2 lakh, you can directly approach to them for the next phase. I am confusing between 20 lakhs and 25 lakhs. Let us consider that it is 20 lakhs. So, you can apply for 20 lakhs directly, or even 50 lakhs directly. If you really have a getting a patent takes many years. Many of my patents are 10 years old. I am yet to get it, but if you have filed it, then it is good enough for getting grant. So, you can definitely, since you have filed a patent, you can definitely approach to DSIR, approach under PRISM scheme. There are many other schemes. I will be covering that during funding new ventures, but for the time being, you visit dsir.gov.in. If you have any problem, you need any guidance on that, you can send me a mail. I will definitely reply. You might have seen that I have replied to almost everybody. Just 2 questions I have not replied, because they are slightly kind of different. So, see, the time is very short, and I am trying to reply as elaborately as possible. So, it takes time. So, if I have not replied to any question, not that I am not liking the question or anything, not that I will not reply, I will definitely reply. I am just keeping it aside. I will reply in due course for sure. Sunil is asking, in our country there are so many ideas which even if replicated 1000 times they have enormous entrepreneurial potential. Can government give some support to such students? See, look, there are many, means in your question there are many things that are hidden. One, not hidden, means there are many possibilities, like PRISM. DSIR has another scheme. You may actually think that I am mocking, but it is not so. They have a scheme to copy patented technology from some other country. Suppose in US somebody has filed a patent and the technology is doing wonderfully well in the commercial marketplace. Now, this somebody has not filed a patent in India. That means his or her technology is not protected in India. That means you can legally copy that technology and start marketing in India. I will cover that when I talk about patenting. But know that if some technology has been patented in any country across the world and they have not preferred to protect it in India within 365 days of filing a local patent, this technology is available in India free of cost. You can even tell them that I am copying your technology, can you help me with more ideas? Legal. They also cannot do anything, they cannot go to court. So, it is absolutely legal to copy, and DSIR gives you money for doing this, meaning that you bring this knowledge which is available in the knowledge domain without infringing upon anybody's property right. You can actually bring this new knowledge to our country and give the benefit to our public. You can create national wealth. That is why there is another scheme called patent promotion scheme or something. You can visit DSIR website. In the first landing page itself, this is already there. So, the support is there, government support is there. Even in India, if some technology is not patented, so there is no right, property right for anybody, you can copy, there is no issue at all, as long as nobody has filed a patent on that. If somebody has filed a patent, it is very bad even to think of infringing upon somebody's patent right. Let me move forward. C.S. Colley, how can we start incubation cell in our cell? Wonderful question, and I have been answering that throughout my my session today. That is, you have to mobilize some ideas from within your college or university. You mobilize 2 ideas. 2 ideas are good enough, but then ideas should be good. You try to mature those ideas through pitching. You pitch before another student team, they are going to reflect on that. So, you mobilize, you modify your business model, gradually let it become a wonderful business model. So, have 2 business models ready, then approach to your college registrar or say principal or whosoever is the director, whosoever is at the helm of the affair, ask them to send these 2 ideas to MHRD. It is an ongoing process. They will evaluate these ideas. If they are happy with the ideas, they are going to give grant to your college for setting up an incubation cell, and with this money they will create a separate cell with infrastructure, and then they will have some seed capital as well to fund these ideas. So, that perhaps completely answers Mr. Colley. Then the patent was filed after initial prototype, obviously. So, that is what I said, that for patent, idea cannot be patented, software cannot be patented. Even if you want to file patent for a software, you have to embed that in a hardware, in a chip or something, only then it is patentable. Software is patentable only in US. You can file a patent in the US to protect software in the US. Next question is, okay, no, I do not see, okay. Again Sunil, say some students are building a mechanism to do water cycling in housing societies. Sunil, are you my student? This is their own idea, which may be used 1000 student groups all over India, and nobody may take any patent. See Sunil, the name actually rings a bell. It is not Sunil, but Surya. There was a student in the last semester who pitched this idea before me. In fact, jointly we are trying to develop a technology, something like a filter that you can insert in the exhaust water pipe for filtering the water that is getting accumulated in the rooftop, and then clean water will come out of this filter and you can store somewhere in your room and then use it. So, this is a wonderful idea. Water is going to be a huge crisis. Many people said, including C.K. Prahlad is a management guru, he is no longer there. Many people said that if the third world war is ever fought, it is going to be fought because of water, and the hotbed is India and Pakistan, because we have water issues among us. Not only that, it is said that India is going to face enormous or very serious water crisis very soon moving forward. So, if you do anything to preserve water or to recycle water, it will be highly appreciated. So, even if 1000 students are trying to do something like this, suppose you file a patent, like this Surya or Sunil both file a patent, they are not going to file a patent for the same technology. Like say automobile, say IC engine, there are so many patents on IC engine. There are so many elements in IC engine that for which you can file a patent. So, even for a filter there may be 1000 patents. So, without infringing on somebody else's ideas, you can actually file patent and protect your ideas and go ahead and do that. So, definitely capturing water in housing society, and then your objective is not to really capture in housing society, but your objective is to come up with a product that housing society can use, and then you can sell it as a product. So, there will be a huge market, because in Bangalore there are so much water crisis that people are there is actually in Madras also there is many a times people do not get water. So, it is highly necessary that we come up with something where you can save some water. Everybody will be kind of enamored to do that. Thank you so much. We will wrap it up here. I do not see any further question as well.